the subject of this is attack from a pterodactyl on a particular person. We'll get to that. It's a 4-year-old child in Oklahoma in the year 1977. I promise we will get to that. But most of you will need an introduction. This is really weird. Modern pterodactyls. What is going on here? My associates and I have been studying this for many years. We've gone on expeditions in Papua New Guinea and looked in other parts of the world, particularly North America, for these flying creatures with some success. I had terrible failure in Papua New Guinea in 2004 myself, but that's other videos you can see about that. I was able to get wonderful videotaped interviews with eyewitnesses there in Papua New Guinea. But the point here is, what is going on with these reports of attacks from pterodactyls? Well, I'm afraid basically in general, they are true. They are real attacks, but they're exceptional. For example, Patty Carson, she was just a child in 1965 in Cuba at Guantanamo Bay with her family. Her father was in charge of some activities there that were secret at the time. But Patty Carson was just a child. She was with her little brother in the middle of the day out in the area of Guantanamo Bay, and the creature just stood up out of the grass, and it was looking around like maybe it just woke up or something, and then it flew away. Those two children were never in any danger as far as I know. They were not attacked. Also, a few years later, 1971, Eskin Kun, the U.S. Marine, he saw 2 of these large pterodactyls, as he called them. And he said they were big, and there was a clear daylight of close range, he said. He was never attacked. There was no danger that he ever encountered with these creatures. And also Scott Norman in California years ago, in more recent years. And that was at nighttime. The creature was quite large. He said the head looked like it was 4 feet long, and it reminded him of a head of a pteranodon. But Scott was never in any real danger at the time either. Other sightings, it's the same in western Minnesota. Very recently, the sightings there, the person that saw these 2 pterosaurs, or parent pterosaurs, was never in any danger. Susan Wooten, many years ago, was in South Carolina driving in the middle of the day, and she encountered one that flew right in front of her car. She was never in any danger. There's other eyewitnesses that have never been in any danger of attack, so please keep this in mind. Now the exceptions, we need to just briefly cover one in Papua New Guinea, the Southwest Pacific. This is probably a few decades ago, and it was by a native fisherman there. We have a whole video about that. Watch the video, but not now. Don't watch it now. Finish it with us here. Keep with us here, and we'll get to that. But basically, the vast majority of persons who encountered these creatures have not been attacked. For example, Dwayne Hodgkinson in 1944, he and his army buddy were not attacked. The flying creature was huge. The wingspan was close to 30 feet, according to Dwayne Hodgkinson. And it was like a pterodactyl, he called it that. And he's stuck with his testimony until his dying day. He passed away a few years ago. But others have seen similar creatures. For example, in 1971, in another area of Papua New Guinea, it was then still called New Guinea, not a country yet, as I recall. But it was in 1971 on Bougainville Island, and it was clear daylight. The eyewitness is Brian Hennessy. He's not crazy. He's a professional psychologist. He didn't call it a pterodactyl. Now keep this in mind. He didn't use the word pterodactyl or pterosaur or flying dinosaur or anything like that. He described it. And his description is very similar to that of Dwayne Hodgkinson's description of what he called a pterodactyl. Both of these were big creatures. Brian Hennessy was not attacked. People in Australia who've had sightings, generally they're not attacked. They see the creature and are astonished and shocked. They're not injured physically. Some of them are traumatized in some parts of the world or in sightings. It's scary. In Africa, a young man saw one at night, and it was illuminated by the porch light there at the time in his hut. They were able to have electricity, and he was able to see it. He said the end of the tail was like a lion's tail. And I get this a lot. But so what about these attacks? Now keep in mind they're exceptional. These are rare. Not many people are attacked. But in northern Papua New Guinea, and this is a few decades ago, a fisherman was out and he was attacked at night, and the creature they call Kor, K-O-R, I believe it's probably the same species as the Ropen of Umboy Island, a little to the south, in that part of the Southwest Pacific, but they call it Kor. It attacked him. He defended himself, and it was a long attack, and the man was greatly injured, and eventually people found him and tried to take care of him, but within a very short time, a couple days or so, as I recall the report, he died from the injuries. So there are rare occasions when a person will be attacked and physically hurt or killed by one of these flying creatures. That is exceptional, rare. I have so many hundreds of reports from around the world. Perhaps only 1% or so or less indicate that a person was attacked. And these are direct eyewitness testimonies. So stay with us with these videos. And let's get to the sighting report about this particular encounter in Oklahoma, western Oklahoma. This was in 1977. I'll correct this if I'm wrong. I'll correct it at the end of the video. But I believe it's 1977, western Oklahoma. The girl was only 4 years old. She went out with her siblings to the bus stop, and as her siblings went off to school, she started walking back to the house. This is about 8 o'clock in the morning. She was attacked by this flying creature. She described it just a few days ago on a comment on one of my videos on this channel, but don't go to the video now, I'll tell you later. And it's in the description section of this video. She was attacked and she felt it was going to grab her. It had long talons or claws. It had teeth in the beak. Body was covered with hair. The body, she said, was the size of a Volkswagen Bug. In other words, it's much, much bigger than a 4-year-old child. Even if the child is exaggerating, it's much bigger than the child. And she ran to the house. Fortunately, she was not injured, at least not physically, but obviously she would have been very terrified. She escaped. Now, we do have occasions when somebody will say that they saw a flying creature flew directly over their head, and that clues me in now. I've been working on this for 17 years, so I know what to look for. That kind of situation alerts me to the possibility, possibly, the pterosaur Ropen or whatever it was trying to get to the person, but then called it off. In one case, the man was just pretty big, and probably the flying creature was trying to get a meal, and it got closer and saw how big the man was and just called it off and just passed right over his head. That happens occasionally, but even that is kind of rare. And basically, people see a flying creature, usually with a long tail. Keep with us on these videos. This is not a joke. I believe this lady, of course she's an adult now. This is 2020. She's an adult, and she reports what happened to her when she was 4 years old. I don't think that's a hoax. I believe her. There's certain details that coincide with a number of other eyewitness sightings reports from around the world. So please keep with us. Please subscribe and tell others about this subject of modern living pterosaurs. Thank you.